What is going on, everybody? It's me back with another live. It's been a while. Today, we're going to be talking about career coaching specifically. This was inspired by one of my clients, Haitam. We set a $10,000 goal for 3 months, and he hit it in just over 2. So I was inspired to make this video based on his result. I was like, how can so many other people get to that $10,000 mark, specifically with career coaching? We're going to be talking more about career coaching. Yes, there's going to be a lot of transferable experiences there. Also, the fire alarm is probably going to go off in a bit, but just ignore that in the background. So today we're going to talk about 4 main things, okay? We're going to talk about, let me just focus in on my screen. We're going to talk about selecting the right niche. We're going to talk about the right pricing and packaging. We're going to talk about how long it should take you to make this kind of money. And we're also going to talk about something called a client cycle, which is basically how long should you be working with each client? Should you be working with them for 5 months, 6 months, 10 months? How long should it take you? Now, I have to admit, I haven't made one of these live streams in a while, and I'm very excited. I realize that I miss teaching, and I love enjoying teaching things. So that's why I'm going to do that today, okay? So we're going to assume that you are from a place where you either have a coaching business, a career coaching business, or you're just starting out and you're very new to it, or you haven't made a lot of money from it. And a lot of money, I mean at least a month's worth of income, right? 4,000, 5,000. So this is how you make your first $10,000. Let's get right into it. If there's one thing that I've seen that's probably the primary factor in how much money people make, it's what niche they select. Okay, now don't worry too much about what specific niche it needs to be. Just worry about the demographic and their affordability. Okay, so what I mean is, let's take a better pen actually. Let's take an example. Let's say you want to work with students, right? You're really passionate about helping students get jobs after college. Now realize, because students don't have an income, they don't make money themselves, their budget is going to be much lower compared to someone who's like a VP or a manager or something like that. So the amount you can charge your client also depends on what demographic they're in, how much they're earning, what disposable income they have. So one major component, probably one of the biggest sticking points, I've worked with 3 dozen career coaches, one of the biggest sticking points I see is they lock themselves in a niche that just perpetually does not have money. They can't afford their service. So if you want to charge, let's say $1,500 for your service, it's going to be very hard for you to do that when you're working with students who just don't have that kind of money. Now, I don't want to generalize, because there are some students who have a lot of money, their parents pay for things. So yeah, you can, but generally it's better to target niches that have more money. Now, does it always mean you have to work with a niche that can afford more? No. There's 2 different approaches, okay? So one is going to be where you have higher affordability, okay? And it's at a price point where most people can afford it, or you're really good at sales and you can get them to commit to that number, and you do high volume. Number 2, okay? So you can work with people who can pay you more, therefore you need to work with less clients, or you can work with a lot of people who can pay you less. So do you want to work with more clients at a lesser amount of money, or do you want to work with less clients at a higher price tag? Now, me personally, I like working with high ticket, meaning my prices are bare minimum $6,000. I know it's a lot of money for most people. So most people can't afford my services, and that's fine. I don't have anything lower tier. I do one-on-one if someone wants like hey, I've got this problem, let's fix it. It's $1,000 an hour typically. So that's what I choose to do, but that doesn't mean other people can't do a different model. So let's say you just want to work with students. You can work with students, just recognize it's going to take you more work because you're going to be on more calls with people. They're going to have a tougher time getting money together to pay you. They're going to ask more refunds, and you're going to be working with significantly more clients, meaning significantly more workload for you for significantly less amount of money. So because of that, I prefer working with less people who can afford my service rather than work with a lot of people who can afford my service, but at the same time, I'm working overtime. So because of that, selecting your niche or the demographic of people who have disposable income is probably going to be the single biggest determinant to how much money you make. Let's say you're getting on a call with like 50 people And if you're working with students, maybe 35 of those students can't even afford it, right? It's way out of their budget. But maybe if you're talking to managers, out of 50 people, maybe 40 of them can afford it, right? So it's going to be a lot easier for you to sell these people as opposed to sell people with no money. So make sure when you pick a niche, you're picking a niche that is profitable. You have an audience that can afford the service, they have disposable income, and they can afford to buy. Now, pricing and packaging, this is the other thing. If you want to make a lot of money really fast, you can talk to a lot of people, network a ton, see who has a problem, and onboard them. In order to make $10,000, your prices have to be high enough to hit that 10,000, right? If you are, let's say, operating at $500 per client, for 2 clients, that's 1,000. So you need 20 clients to make $10,000. And if you're trying to make $10,000 a month, that's going to be very, very difficult. So it's very easy to make $10,000 if you are charging high tickets. So 1,500 or more for that, 2,000, whatever per client. Then you just need what, 5 clients a month? And that's your first $10,000. Now, again, you could have a $5,000 service, right? You can have 1 client at $5,000 or 2 clients at $5,000. That will give you $10,000. Now, most people, the reason they don't like doing this is because they're really afraid of asking for more money. When I say $6,000 to people, how many of them do you think, yes, Yasser, that's so affordable, I want to work with you? How many people do you think say that? Not a lot of them, because most people can't afford that price tag. And I understand that. And I'm okay with that because I'm not trying to serve everyone. That's why I have this group, because I can do all the free stuff here, all the paid stuff in my paid group, because I still love teaching and I love teaching people about what I do for a living. So if you want to work with someone and you want to have higher quality clients who commit more, who are willing to put in the work, at the same time you get to work less, then charge higher ticket, 1,500, 2,000, 2,500. We'll talk about how long this should take as well. I typically recommend, if you're working, let's say one-on-one, right? You're doing one-on-one with someone, 1,500 is probably the bare minimum. Like, I would not recommend 1,500, but let's say we're taking 1,500. I would recommend it should average at about $300 an hour or more. So if you're doing, let's say, 1-hour sessions every week, for 2 months for 1,500, that doesn't average to a whole lot, does it? Yes, when you're starting out, some people feel like I'm going to over deliver, get my clients amazing results, then raise my prices. You can do that as well. My tips must be fire because there are ambulances left and right. But typically when I divide up the workload, I want to make sure it's at least 300, ideally 500. So when you divide up your time, try doing it bi-weekly, maybe twice a month. And then you can do for 2 months or something like that. What is going on here, man? It's like back-to-back sirens. I picked the best day for live streaming. Okay. 2 months, that's typically how long you should work with your clients for, unless they need more time. Just give them enough time to have a transformation. You don't want to leave them halfway where they feel like they haven't gotten the best results and you feel like you haven't delivered them the results that they wanted. So arrange that accordingly, but make sure whatever amount you charge them, when you divide it by the amount of hours, is $300 or more. Because a lot of people, they sell like a $3,000 package and they're like, oh, I sold a $3,000 package, but they're working with their clients for 6 months every single day. And I don't want to do the math here, but then it comes up to a bajillion sessions and it comes to like $50 an hour or something. Not a great way of making money. And now you're stuck with a client for 6 months for just $3,000. So I do it in a group fashion because I have an entire community of coaches where everyone joins in to support each other. They don't just get me, they get other people in the program to help them out as well. So that's something to think about. Now, how long should it take you to get the $10,000? Now, this essentially depends on your pricing, right? How high is your price? What problem do you solve for people? The bigger the problem you can solve for people. Let's say if you're solving a resume problem, you can't make that much money because a resume only goes for so much. If you're solving a job searching problem, then it's a much bigger problem. Then you can charge a lot more than that. So the bigger the problem that you solve, the more you can charge for it. And the other thing is, how much do you network? If you want to find clients, the best way to find clients is going to be networking, talking to more people who are having the challenges that you try to solve, planting your seeds, and over time building what they call a pipeline of people who know about what you do, what problem you solve. So even if they're not having that problem now, maybe down the line they will have that problem and then they will come to you. So if you think about this combination, high ticket pricing plus massive networking. If you just start your business now and you make it a goal every single week, I'm going to talk to at least 10 people who might potentially be having the problem that I'm trying to solve every single week. And if there is that problem, you can try to sell them your service at $2,000 or however much it is. You can go from 0 to 10,000. I've got a whole bunch of clients. I'll be sharing some more testimonials of those as well. 0 from 10 to that $10,000. Because essentially, what you're trying to do is, let's just take 2,000. Okay, let's take $2,000 as your price tag. You want 5 clients to enroll. In order to get 5 clients to enroll, how many people do you need to talk to? Let's just take 50, for example. Okay, let's take, you network with 50 people. Out of those 50 people, maybe 25 people had the problem that you can solve. Out of those 25 people, maybe 12 of them or 13 of them agree to getting on a sales call with you to discuss your services. Out of those 12, at a 40% close rate or whatever, 5 clients buy. Okay, and they buy at 2,000. That is how you make $10,000. Where did it start? It started by talking to 50 people. So if you know how much money you want to make and you reverse engineer that number to see how many people you talk to, it becomes a very predictable model. You know how much you need to charge, you know who you need to talk to. Now, there's some complexities in there that you have to consider. Am I talking to the people who actually have the challenge? Am I talking to the people who can actually afford my service? Can they even afford this problem? Am I talking to the kind of people who are ready to look for a coach? These are some complexities that I discuss with my clients. They're nitty-gritty stuff. You don't have to worry about that too much. We're doing an overview. The last thing you want to worry about, or not worry about, the last thing you want to consider is the client cycle. Now, this is something that's it's a little exclusive to how to reach those 50. So you can do that with your social media of choice. So let's say you're doing LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn is fantastic for career coaching. There is no shortage of people looking for a job on LinkedIn. They're everywhere. All you would do, and by the way, I've got a whole video on this on my YouTube channel. Check that out. You go to influencers who are big in the career coaching, how to get those specific leads. So you go to influencers who are already tackling the market that you're in. So let's say you help people in hospitality get jobs, right? Find influencers who are already doing that on LinkedIn in hospitality. Go to the likes, go to their comment section, look for who's commenting. Because if someone else is commenting on their post or liking their post, they're probably interested in that kind of content. Then you can reach out to them and say, hey, I saw your comment on ABC's post about networking or interviewing or whatever. I'm curious, are you in the market right now? And you open conversation with people. Remember, the more conversations you open with people, the more calls you get. The more calls you get, the more likely you are to get clients. Now, I've got I'm not sure who's asking this question, but the most amount of videos I have on my YouTube channel is specifically on how to get leads, how to get clients, how to talk to people. So I don't want to spend another hour talking about this. Go to my channel, just look for every lead gen video. There's more than enough to get you as many leads as you want. So hopefully that'll help you out. So let's say we got these 50 people, okay? It's much easier than you think it is. It does require effort, but it's easy to do. I've done it time and time again with my clients. So last thing I want to talk about is the client cycle. Now with career coaching, if you help someone get a job, let's say they just graduated, they don't know what job they want, they don't have a right resume, they don't have the right cover letter, they don't know how to interview, they don't know how to network. If you take them from that point all the way till when they get a job, that cycle, that client cycle is massive. It's huge, right? It will take you maybe 3 months, 6 months, a year, depending on how long it takes to get them a job, to get them those results, right? It's a very, very long period of time. So unless you want the same client to stick around over and over again, maybe you have a recurring monthly model, then you can do that. If you charge by the month, sure. I don't like doing it by the month because then I'm delaying the process for them just because I want to get paid more. I don't want to delay the result. I want them to pay me upfront just so they can start worrying about the money and they can start getting results. If they pay me a good chunk of money, I don't want them to wait for the results. So let's do this as fast as possible. Why does it need to take 3, 4, 5, 6 months? Now, the reason I mentioned the cycle, let's just paint a picture of this, okay? Let's write cycle here. Let's say someone is here and they want to get to this point. This is a job. This is where they're unemployed. All right. So they need a resume. They need a cover letter. They need networking. They need, what else do they need? Interview prep. and then they need salary negotiation, all of these things, right? Or maybe even before that, you have career clarity, like what the hell do I even want to do with my life? I'm not really sure. Thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying this. This is why I do it. I really like teaching my craft. So let's assume this is your entire journey, and someone pays you $3,000 or however much your service is for your entire package, and it covers all of these things. It's going to take you a very long time to service one single client. Not only that, but then you don't specialize. You're not specialized in clarity. You're not specialized in resume or one of these things, and people will pay more for specialization. So let's say you say, I'm going to help you get a job, 3,000. Great. What if you say, I'm going to help you craft a networking strategy specific to hospitality that's going to connect you with hiring managers and get you a job. And now you can charge a lot more because you are specialized and you're only teaching the networking bit. So the amount of time it takes you per client is not going to be as big as it's going to be take this entire circle. So what I recommend my clients is to pick out portions of this journey that they're really good at, that they really enjoy doing. A lot of the coaches that I work with, they're like, we don't like doing resumes. We outsource it anyway. We don't like doing cover letter. We outsource that anyway. So instead, you don't have to talk about that bit at all, right? Instead, you can specialize yourself in helping people achieve clarity. What do you really want to do? Or you can help them achieve clarity in networking. How do you network using LinkedIn to get a job? Or you can specialize in salary negotiation, maybe interviewing. So this makes your business very streamlined. You know exactly the value proposition. You're not like a Swiss Army knife. You're not doing everything for everyone. You're specialized. So when people come to you, they come to you with a very specific problem that you specialize in, and therefore you can charge more. At the same time, when you help them with an individual component instead of everything, it takes in very little time to be serviced, which means you can service one client, move on to the next client, move on to the next client, as opposed to being stuck with the same client for a single year. I know a lot of career coaches who do this, who are like, I'll help you till you get a job. They're stuck with the same people for months and months and months on end, and they don't get paid unless they have a monthly recurring model. So these are some of the things that I want to discuss with you. If you want to hit your first 10,000, all right, some of the things to consider, again, we're going to recap. Your price has to be high ticket. High ticket, again, just meaning 1,500 plus, ideally at least 2,000. I know a lot of people have an issue with this when they're starting out. They're like, I don't have the confidence. I don't have to do it. This is what I do for a living in my program. I teach people to hit their first $10,000. So I don't want to get too much into that. If you can, just try to raise your prices, okay? So price high ticket. And then at the same time, you can do low ticket. Just remember, it's going to be more work because you have more clients. And you're going to have to get on way more calls, and you're going to get paid less. Okay, so if you're doing $500, same amount of calls you're doing, same amount of effort you're putting into your sales, it's just going to take you a lot longer to get that money. That's your price, and then your niche is going to be affordability. So how much can they afford? How much money do they have to shell out for coaching? If there's someone who can't even pay the rent right now, they don't have grocery bills they can afford, then you probably can't afford, probably can't afford $2,000. So be very specific. Try to find like a Venn diagram here. So a skill set that you have and affordability, okay? So your clients can afford it. Right here will be the sweet spot here. People can afford your service, and it's something you're really passionate about. So, and then after that, you want to consider the time it's going to take. The time honestly depends on networking. How many people can you talk to? If you talk to 50 people a month, there's no way you're not going to make money. Like it's impossible. Like statistically, the more people you talk to, the more people you make aware of your service, the more money you'll make. That's just how it's going to work. So if you look back at your previous month and the month before that, and you just look at how many people you talked to, and you correspond it to how much money you made, I guarantee you the month that you talk to the most amount of people, if not that month, then the following month, you'll make the most amount of money because that's when you planted the most amount of your seeds. If you're having a very dry month, what's that book? There's a book by Jeb Blount called Fanatical Prospecting. So he talks about the 30-day rule, which is whatever networking you do now, those people will become your clients in the next 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days. So let's say you plant your seed today, you talk to someone now, maybe they didn't need your service now. 30 days later, they know more about you. 60 days later, they're trusting you in your process. 90 days later, they're like, oh, okay, this person knows what he's talking about. Let me reach out to him and become his client. So anything that you're doing now in terms of networking, you'll see results of that in 30 days, 40 days, whatever. So when I was working with my client, Haitham, he joined my program mid-April-ish, and we said, okay, by the end of August, we're going to have, or was it the start of August? Start of August, we're going to have $10,000. But I think about 20th June, if I'm not mistaken, he hit his first 12,500, and that was by far his best month. And I think he's on this group as well. I'm not sure. So it depends on how much networking you do. I know he was working really hard. He was talking to a whole ton of people. He made a lot of money. How long will it take you to talk to 50 people? Just start with 50. Talk to 50 people. You learn a ton about people's challenges. You learn a ton about yourself and about business, and you'll have a full pipeline. Now imagine making this a monthly strategy where you're just talking to people every single month. So many people know about what you do. It's literally impossible for you to not make money, okay? These are some of the basics that I wanted to cover just to make you your first $10,000. Again, I do have a program. It is fairly expensive. It's $6,000. I know a lot of people can't afford it. If you want more specific help in hitting not just your first 10,000, but 15,000, 20,000, and have your hand held the entire way through, if that's something you're interested in, shoot me a message. Look forward to working with you then. But in the meantime, let me know what more videos you want to see, because I love teaching. I've been vacationing too much, and I feel like I've gotten a little stale. I was like, I want to talk about things. I want to educate people. I love doing this. Let me know what you want to see. Let me know how I could help you make money using this group. I'd be more than happy to. Again, thank you so much for joining in. I will see you in the next one. Hopefully, I'll make this a recurring thing because I've been very inactive. I'm going to try to put a date and time for every single one of these live streams. I'm very impulsive. An idea comes and I just go live. So I'll give you a heads up, a warning or something when I do these next. So anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. See you next time. Bye-bye.